Hi, Maddie and Eli, Daddy here. Quick story today that I suddenly realised I hadn't actually told you, and it's a story that a lot of people ask me to tell on a fairly regular basis, and it's how I got into singing in the first place. And it's a kind of twofold little story. It started out really, although of course I was already a musician, studying composition and piano, conducting, and various other things. Um, but not singing. I was too young. Boys certainly shouldn't start that young. And I was already at Purcell School. But the truth was, I had a very bad speech impediment, a stammer, in fact. I never say stutter because it's extremely hard to say the S and the T together. So I always say stammer. But anyway, so I one day decided and spoke to my mum about it, getting singing lessons because I thought maybe this would improve my speaking. Of course, what I didn't know as a child was that singing and speaking come from opposite sides of the brain. So, of course, studying singing will not necessarily improve your speaking voice. Of course, we all know that stammering itself doesn't interfere with singing. As I said, different sides of the brain. But the strange and ironic thing was that it did kind of help with my speaking because it gave me more confidence. And confidence is an enormous part of stammering. Insecurity, I guess one would say, as a child. Um, but also, you learn how to breathe properly and deeper, and you pitch the speaking voice slightly different. I used to kind of talk up here like this, and you learn how to naturally kind of speak a little deeper. So that did help, ironically, in the end. But there was another part to it, which was flat 4 Old Manor Court, which is where I lived with my mum when I was a kid, on Abbey Road, of course, the Beatles Abbey Road. In the flat above, uh, the lady who lived there, who was a close friend of my mum for many, many, many years, rented out her room to various people, including a marvellous actor called Dursley McClendon, who unfortunately died of AIDS a long, long time ago. But he was very sweet to me. He was an established actor. He was one of the Diamond Brothers in Anthony Horowitz's children's series on TV. And I have some lovely letters from him when he was dying and also from when he was well. But he was lovely to me. But his then partner at the time was a fabulous young tenor called Mario Frangoulis, who has since gone on to become a very famous pop star in Greece and Turkey and areas around there, probably Cyprus and places like that. And of course, when he comes to Britain, he sells out the Royal Albert Hall because all the Turkish, all the Greek, all the people who live here now go and fill the place out. And he's universally adored. I should say he is a pop singer now. He is definitely not an opera singer. But at the time, he was a fabulous singer and one of the few pupils that Alfredo Kraus taught privately. He didn't have many, but Mario was one of them. And I used to go up and play the piano a little bit with Mario. Mario would sing when he was singing the big stuff like, Calaf and Radames and all these wonderful things. And I'd sort of hesitantly play the piano because I wasn't a very proficient pianist then. This would have been before I went to Purcell School, so it would have been when I was 10 or 11. So I really wasn't that good at all. I started the piano quite surprisingly late, actually. So then he moved away. He went and did The King and I in the West End, which I think he did Phantom as well. Um, yeah, I'm pretty sure he did Phantom, but not the part of Phantom. And then he went to La Scala and did West Side Story. So he was a proper singer. And of course, he still is a proper singer. I'm not denigrating pop singers. It's just he went in a different direction. And I have heard him recently trying to sing opera, and it's not really where his voice is at anymore. But anyway, that's the quick little tale of how I got into singing in the first place. And of course, then I naturally, once I started getting better, I fell in love with it, and have been in love with it ever since. And my very first singing teacher, Kathleen Livingston, confided in me many years later that she really thought in my first lesson I had absolutely no hope of being any good at all. And she said I was astonished by how much work he put in, how much effort, and how much progress he made. Even after 5 or 6 months, I was singing, art song and things like Roger Quilter and some Handel, and I think some Mendelssohn and things like that. So yeah, that was the beginning of my singing career. So I hope you guys are still well. Daddy loves you always, and speak to you soon. Mwah.